by the National Guard, who was available here for patient transportation. And my husband actually got into one of their vehicles to direct them to where they needed to transport patients. And so he was the eyewitness to this event. And there was sniper fire on the second vehicle in this caravan that my husband was part of. And subsequently, all of the weapons were being pointed up towards the roof where the suspected sniper was. And later, I think it was about 20 minutes later, there was additional gunfire, and my husband saw a man in a white shirt who was shooting, and gunfire was exchanged. And at that point, I was on the ramp of the emergency room, and there was a sudden crush of people rushing back into the emergency room, on the ramp of the emergency room, and there was a sudden crush of sniper. And at that point, we had to once again get the patients back into a safe place. People who were standing needed to sit down.
Well, you have endured so much, and we wish you Godspeed. You're doing the Lord's work there. Thank you so much. The big question, of course, tonight is where do things stand with the federal response? Federal Emergency Management Director Mike Brown joins me now from the FEMA Command Center in Baton Rouge. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I understand that security isn't your job. I understand you're up against tremendous obstacles. But how can it be that hundreds and hundreds of thousands of victims have not received any food and water more than 100 hours after Katrina hit?
Paula, I think it's so important for the American public to understand exactly how catastrophic this disaster is. I mean, we have a major American city, a major urban area that has been totally demolished. And what we're finding is that as we continue to do the evacuation and get people out, that has been totally demolished and completely lost everything. They have no place to go. They have nothing. That we're finding other people who are literally coming out of second stories of homes. They're suddenly appearing on bridges that are not underwater. That people who were unable or chose not to evacuate are suddenly appearing. And so this catastrophic disaster continues to grow. I will tell you this, though. Every person in that convention center continues to grow that today. And so I have directed that we have all available resources to get to that convention center to make certain that they have the food and water, the medical care that they need.
Sir, you're not telling me
those bodies that are there.
Sir, you're not telling me you just learned that the folks at the convention center didn't have food and water until today, are you? You had no idea they were completely cut off?
Paula, the federal government did not even know about the convention center people until today. We have been doing the evacuations from the federal government did not even know about the convention center people until today. Several days. We're taking people out from the Superdome to Houston and San Antonio. The people in the Superdome have been fed. There are convoys of trucks moving food in there to feed them even tonight. We're taking the Coast Guard and we're taking care of the people who have just appeared on the bridges and the interstates to get them water tonight. We're doing all of those things. Those people have suddenly appeared. And I got to tell you, the snipers, the thugs, those people, I have the First Army at my disposal. General Honore is here. There will be 30,000 National Guard troops in New Orleans. I am going to take control of that, and we are going to make certain that this city is safe, and that poor mother that has the children, that family unit that's just trying to get to a shelter, they're going to be protected. That's the President's demand, the American public demands it, and we're going to do it.
And what about a situation like you just heard at Charity Hospital tonight, where they were in the process of evacuating patients, and they were told once they got those critically ill patients in a boat, put them on the boat, that the boat had to be sent back because where it was being dispatched to was underwater as well, and there wasn't any reasonable place to leave them off.
And that is a great example, unfortunately a great example, of how catastrophic this disaster is. That we may have a place that we're going to take critically ill patients and suddenly it's not there and we have to change plans on the fly. That's how devastating this is. And that's why we're bringing in the National Guard. That's why the Coast Guard will continue to run missions all night with night vision. That's why the First Army is here. That's why the American public needs to understand exactly how catastrophic this situation is in New Orleans.
And finally, finally tonight, sir, you said earlier today that part of the blame for what you think will be an enormous death toll in New Orleans rests with the people who did not evacuate the city, who didn't heed the warnings. Is that fair to blame the victims, many of whom tell us they had no way out, they had no cars of their own, and that public assistance wasn't provided to get them out of the city?
First of all, Paula, I'm not blaming anyone. I think if you listen to what I said that some either chose not to evacuate and some were unable to evacuate. And my heart goes out to even if they chose not to evacuate, my heart still goes out to them because they now find themselves in this catastrophic disaster. Now is not the time to be blaming. Now is the time to recognize that whether they chose to evacuate or chose not to evacuate, we have to help them.
And we wish you tremendous luck in that process. Mike Brown, thank you so much for being with us. Joining me now on the phone from Baton Rouge is Democratic Senator Mary Landrieu of Louisiana. Good of you to join us. First of all, actually, we are going to get to see you after all. Senator, first of all, I don't know how much you heard of what FEMA Director Mike Brown just had to say, but do you find that description of what his team is up against acceptable?
Desperation to be reunited with their families to get to safety.
This nation is facing right now, in my opinion, we have never faced before, and it's going to take all of our concerted efforts to stay steady, stay moving forward. Believe me, there's plenty of blame to go around. A total underinvestment by the federal government over many years in this region of the country, despite pleas and warnings from elected officials. There is a failure and breakdown of a communication system that we failed to invest in. But this senator is not going to spend any time blaming anybody. This senator is going to say the people are suffering. We need aid. We need support. I thank blaming anybody. This senator is saying former President Bush. I thank former President Clinton. Please do everything that you can to help us here. The leadership team on the ground, including the governor and all, are doing everything that they know how to do at this time. And I understand that people are suffering. I myself have been involved in rescue operations. My brother has been on a boat in New Orleans, St. Bernard, and Plaquemine Parish, getting people out. There are people all over the region, in Mississippi and Alabama. So Trent Lott and Thad Cochran, Senator Vitter and I understand you're suffering as well. We are too. We're going to work together to do what we can to get through this situation.
When an assessment can actually be made, what do you think the death toll might go up to in your state?
Thank you very much.
Paula, I don't know what the gas prices are going to go up to, but it's going to affect everyone in the country. We are the energy coast. We're the only energy coast in the nation.
Sorry to interrupt you. I know the signal is not clear at all. Actually, what I was asking you about was the death toll, because the governor of your state has predicted.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's not your fault at all. People need to understand. Yeah, these signals are really, really quite raw. But your own governor predicted
the death toll.
The death toll could go